So I wanted to talk about that stupid term that SJWs use all the time, objectification. That's an awful term, by the way. I mean, I understand metaphors and all that, but I have no idea what objectification is supposed to be, literally or metaphorically. I mean, how can you treat a person like an object? Who does that? They're people. I think what SJWs really mean by objectification is sexualization, so I'm going to try and use that more clear, specific term. So when I hear third-wave feminists screaming about this apparent problem, I immediately think of my favorite movie in the world, which is The Matrix. I'm particularly thinking of the scene where Neo and Morpheus are in an agent training program together. You probably know the scene. Neo sees a rather attractive woman walking towards him and is distracted, so Morpheus asks him, "Are you listening to me, Neo, or are you looking at the woman in the red dress?" Neo tries to defend himself. He goes, but Morpheus interrupts. "Look again," and Neo turns. It's Agent Smith. That's a great scene, one of my favorite scenes, and most people wouldn't have an issue. But SJWs would probably scream, objectification, objectification. And then there's a follow-up scene where Mouse is talking to Neo and says that he could arrange Neo to have sex with the woman in the red dress. Mouse comes off as kind of creepy, and the rest of the group teases him for it. And the Mouse just launches into this interesting philosophical conversation about how chicken tastes like everything, and denying our own impulses, denying the very thing that makes us human. Again, I'm pretty sure SJWs would lose seeing that kind of stuff in a movie. But I want to make the case that neither of those scenes were sexist, even though they did involve sexualization to some extent. The sexualization in the first scene I mentioned is actually a pretty funny joke that adds a little comic relief to an otherwise serious movie. The whole point of that part of the program is that it was supposed to distract the viewer. The idea is that any straight man, even someone like Neo who's completely devoid of emotion, isn't going to be able to help himself when he sees the woman in the red dress. It's a joke about men. And if anything, it's a slightly sexist joke against men. But I'm not offended because it's funny. That's the point. The second scene is also a joke. It's a joke about Mouse as a character. He comes across as kind of a nerdy guy, but after that scene he's kind of awkward too. It's an awkward scene, and that's what makes it funny. It's another joke. To give another example, Disney got rid of all the Slave Leia Star Wars merchandise because apparently it was sexist. I'm going to let Shoehead and Armor Skeptic tell you why that's not the case.
So, Disney's cutting the Slave Leia thing. They're not going to make any more of the merchandise or whatever.
Right.
And you bought the costume before.
Yeah. I bought June a costume.
Anyway, so
just before they go out of stock, so that we can get one.
Anyway, so yeah, they're not going to be making merchandise. They're not going to be making anything like that. And on Twitter, a bunch of people were commenting, "Yeah, good, because it's sexist and whatever." And me now watching Star Wars, knowing about it, I just went off the rail with it, and I was like, "Are you serious? Like, it's not sexist. Jabba is evil. He's
right.
An evil person. He's gonna do evil things."
The angle they were going at is that it was a rape costume.
Yeah, that makes no fucking sense. There was no rape implied.
No, there was no rape implied at all. In fact, there's no indication that Jabba can even have sex with human women.
Giant slug.
He's a fucking slug. Slugs cannot have sex with human women. That makes no sense. He made her wear that outfit because it was degrading to her. Because he knew who she was. He knew she was royalty.
Yep.
And he was demeaning her.
Yep.
And she overcomes
she turns around and she strangles the fuck out of him with her
own slave chain.
Yes. And she kicks ass.
Star Wars isn't sexist. Jabba was sexist.
Exactly.
His character was sexist.
Yeah.
People have trouble discerning the difference between a character's motivation and what the movie is saying.
I know.
So again, the sexualization of Leia in that movie was to make a statement about the character of Jabba the Hutt, not to be sexist. I really honestly think that that's what the sexualization of women or men usually is in movies or TV shows or whatever. The message of sexualization in such movies are usually not sexist. They usually make a joke or say something about a character or both. In advertising, it's even more simple. It's to sell a product. I honestly can't understand why SJWs don't see this. They see an image of a skimpily dressed woman and scream misogyny, like they did with that scientist t-shirt. It's like they can't stand to see a belly button or something. It's weird. Not to mention the hypocrisy when they say that women should be able to walk around topless and that they shouldn't be judged if they dress skimpily. If they saw a topless woman in a movie, they would go insane. So that was my little rant. I honestly think that's all sexualization is really about. And like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.